Hi there, I'm Danny Henderson. Welcome back to my beautiful disclosure channel. In the screen here is my brother from another space mother, the one, the only, the beloved Tony Rodrigues. Hi,
Ba-dum-bum.
my
Danny, I
love.
wish I could give you a hug from thousands of miles away. I love you
I love you too
so
so
much.
much, and I
Thanks
miss
for
you.
having me.
My God, are you kidding me, boy? You're in my life for life, baby. We've done so much great work together. We are in the disclosure. We are bringing it. We are landing the big fat planes. We are bringing the spacecraft. And there's nothing going to stop it. Tony Rodrigues, give us your insights to the latest GISIC Galactic Spiritual Informers connection on May 27th, 2024, Westminster, Colorado.
It turned into, I feel like the first two G6 were formative. Like, I feel like the first one was this energy went into this area, you know? Like, I'm speaking, follow, just there's a punchline here. So follow, come along with me, you guys, everybody at home, in by metaphor, by metaphors. In the beginning, all of this energy went towards the GSIC and it swirled, and everybody that came out of it had basked in this light of this different conference. The second one, the people, their energy was like this, like twisty turny. And then the third one, it's like there's a crystal there, like it made something tangible. You know what I mean? Like it was swirling all before that. And because the third one gave us history, it was a moment of history. It was a big deal. It can't be understated or overstated, whichever one is works. It's early for me. It's you're in Europe. I'm in America. I'm in
Yeah.
the West Coast. But it was a historic moment. Even while it was happening, I didn't realize it for what it was. And the more because I'm part of the conditioning too, that even if you see a UFO, so on some level, you've been programmed to ignore it. And I was like that. I had that feeling. I was watching them and it was amazing. It was like a lifelong dream. And I was like, okay, back to normal. And it was like a reflex, like there was some kind of hypnosis, there was some kind of programming
Yeah.
that made it seem less than what it was. But days after, weeks after, I started watching the video and going through, and we were clipping the videos up, and then finally, like how excited we were after the conference is over to go and have a big mighty stick to beat up the haters with, to say, well, okay, well, show me your UFO, man. That's fine. Here's a video of a super star fleet and US or military industrial TR-3Bs working together. These are several craft flying for many times over us. Show me yours. And so that was a big deal, man. That was a big deal. So there. So that's my insight on what the GSIG was. And the speakers. This G-Sync, I want to say, Danny, I saw your little promo video that may come out in a minute. It was exhausting for one reason, because I didn't want to miss any of the speakers. In other G6, I've slept in. I'll take a day, I'll go on and be tired. You give a lot of energy to the crowd. You do, yeah, and so that y'all sleep in and be like, I'll miss that one. I'll check it out on video later. I'm just gonna miss that. But this one I couldn't. I was glued. I was glued to this one. Everybody was, I mean, they were just throwing it out. It was just big every time. So there.
That's beautiful. Yeah, it's really interesting. On my channel, I talk a lot about programming and the programs and the slides and the screens that there are no exceptions in humanity. We are all, cabalized under this dark system that exists. And then these screens and these Trojan programs and the different things exist within us. And it's our job as an individual being, not with leaning on a partner, a wife, a husband. You're on your own, baby. We're on our own. And so, yeah. And so when Elena Danan said the craft are coming over the hotel at this time, and they did, it was incredible. And then when the TR-3B flew over, I remember I had to walk away because I was like, oh my gosh, I know they're coming, but what if they don't come for 3 hours? And, it's between Elena and Thorhan to triangulate that process. And of course, bring it into the Earth military for them to bring their craft, thus proving that the two factions are working together. We made history. And still, you can see when you look up, sometimes you're like, is that one a bird over there? Is that a couple of birds? Alex Collier said that Denver, Colorado, Westminster, they have bats. Could it have been, but, and that's all fine and well. And that's where your mind must go, because also there's just complete and utter common sense. Your eyes are seeing something. So you break it down. A lot of people that were there were like, I saw and now I know. Because the difference between birds and bats and white spacecraft with green flashing lights, banking, twisting, turning, is unmistakable. And there's absolutely no way on this green earth that it could have been anything else. But there are obviously 2D people. There are people in the MUFON who are all volunteers. MUFON volunteers, and people need to get a clue on that. Mutual UFO Network. Shame on you, arsewips, the ones that infiltrate, the ones that mock, the ones that lie. I'm allowed to have my own research. Yeah, but don't lie and don't take a dump on history, you moron. Move along, get a life. I want to be the most important person in the world. Well, you're not. Ding, ding, you're not. All right. We made history. Almost 1,000 people saw it. And anyone that says anything against it, and others are coming out. They're coming out. It was a loosh fest. It was evil. Shut up. All right. In your face. Shut up. Get out of the way, because we are coming. We are landing and we are moving through, and you're not going to stop disclosure. Get over your celebrity wannabe spacefaring alien galactic shit. We're done. And my light fell off. It's
Wow, get it.
enough. It's enough. It's enough with the egos. You weren't on that stage because you're not bringing it right now. And how many can you get on the stage? Every single person on the stage brought it. They brought it, all of them. And that's why it was the single best event anywhere, with the people with their proof, physical proof. And I say it over and over again, and I couldn't care less. The people in the little 2D, the shroom heads, the weed heads, guys, get out of the way. You're getting in the way. Oh, because you're not famous. None of us care about being famous. We've got a job to do, and we are doing it. Tony, back to you, my love.
Oh, well, wow, that was good. I gotta say that was one of your better rants, Danny. I love it. Super passionate. But you're right though. So many, here's what it really did, the aftermath of it, when it hit the internet and everything. We heard a lot of crickets from people that have been a long time attacking, specifically Elena. And there have been times when I have stuck up for Elena and you, actually. I mean, I'm not saying this for any kind of brownie points. I'm saying this is the reality. There are times when people attacked you online, and I chimed in and said, "Look, man, knock it off. This isn't right. You're not right here. You're just being emotional." And then I got attacked, and it lasted for a long time. There are people that are passionate about their own work that they're doing, but the aftermath of this really was crickets, and because it's undeniable. Like everybody's got their proof. They're hearing it from their voice, or they had something in their living room that's telling them. Where is the message, and what is the net result of your message that you're getting from your contact? And it has to be something, tell me, it has to be something I don't already know, right? So it does you no good to have contact and then you say, man, humanity will grow and be amazing one day. Okay. So you know what I mean? Like, it's a waste of time for that. The aftermath showed a lot of people silenced, but it also showed a lot of people that are in this for the reason of their own benefit, because they immediately attacked. That was where we got the big attacks from, with people that were jealous that they couldn't provide UFOs at their show. And so we really you saw these people come out of the woodwork, and it really revealed their intentions. Time is the greatest lie detector. And over time, if you're shining us on, and your intentions, say this to everybody, no matter what it is, and we're talking about a specific historical event, but no matter what it is, time will reveal your intentions to everybody. Period.
Yeah.
Okay. It might take a little time, it might take a long time, but it's going to happen. Your intentions are going to be revealed. And that event was so powerful that it revealed a lot of intentions that we knew. You know, everybody knows in the community, the audience doesn't know what goes on behind the scenes. I intend to write a book about behind the scenes of
Oh
all
my,
these conferences.
oh my
My
God.
tell-all manifesto book, I want to write that because it's worthy and people need to understand what's been going on in the effort to give disclosure for many years, for decades.
You're going to mention all the horrible abuses and death threats and awful threats we get, mostly from men, me and Elena, behind the scenes cowards, like the impotent, incompetent boys that try and they want to be the super soldiers and they're just not. They're just fantasizing and it just is really getting, old and boring. And like you said, for me, the most important thing about the flyover was that we bought the craft. Elena and Thor had already and bought the craft. It's so obvious and clear, and now we can see with our own eyes. Ding dong, step to the left, because we proved that the Earth military, the good Earth military, work with the good ETs. It doesn't get better than that. Anyone can call UFOs in. It's not difficult to call in a craft. Okay, get right with that. It's not that difficult. What was the point? Was to bring them in restricted airspace, no drone flyers over, but also prove that the two factions work together. That is the greatness that we did. Tony, bear with me for 1 second, my love. So in closing on that part, that those trying to get in the way, just step to the side because we're coming regardless. And I am going to make a t-shirt, I think, because so many people are going, I was there, I was there, I was there, I was there, I saw it, I was there. It's like Woodstock, I was there, GSIC 2024, whether you like it or not, it happened, banana brains, it happened. And it's joyful and it's triumphant and we did it and we proved it. And now it's like, bang, it's go time. We'll forgive after the war. Get over your egos after the war. You little me. We ain't got time. We've got a job to do. Tony Rodrigues, you just had your own conference, Odyssey. Tell us how it went. And there were a couple of
Odyssey Sedona.
things there too. Let's go, Tony. Bring it.
Oh, well, you know what? I've spoken at a few conferences over the years. And so I know a lot of people. It's easy to put together a conference of as far as speakers. I have a lot of quality speakers on speed dial in my phone, so it's easy. And I really wanted to delve into remote viewing. So a buddy of mine, I moved to Sedona and I'm working on the Maple Street Learning. And somebody that I partner with also hosts events, like one of the software guys, the software guy. His name's John Strayer. Very talented, brilliant guy. And he said, let's throw a conference here. We can do it here. We have a small venue. It doesn't have to be a big to do. He's like, we can get this venue for, next to nothing. And so where he works and he puts on like dance parties and like healing things through music. He puts those on constantly. He calls it the Humankind Center. John's a great guy. And we got a new venue where I'm going to be hosting live workshops here, remote viewing workshops and things. Anyhow, but we put the Odyssey Sedona conference together and it was about remote viewing. And I was super fortunate to get I got some great speakers that were here that were about meditating. So meditation is your first step into remote viewing. So to do a remote viewing session, you have to be kind of adept at meditating. You have to shut off your crazy mind, your life, your mind that's going through rush hour traffic, that mind that keeps you alive in all the midst of that needs to be shut off. And that's what meditating does. You use meditation for the vehicle for that. And then go into the session of remote viewing. And I was super happy. I got Aziz Brown from Farsight, who came and put on an absolute clinic, a remote viewing. And I work with Aziz. We're both pushing into remote viewing because there's a lot of research that was either secret and hidden by the military or that's not been done. Remote viewing has come a long ways in 30, 40 years. And then Yemi Janae from Farsight is a Farsight viewer. She came and put on a wonderful show. She did a group remote viewing. She showed how to meditate and had the group and did a target. Most of the people in the audience, I think, hit the target that she did. It was an amazing experience. I had so the other thing, we've had a lot of back and forth about the channeling lately, right? So everybody mistakes Elena Denon as a channeler
Wow.
because they have come in after. Yeah, so I've even said this to Elena privately, and Elena, if you're watching, you know what I'm talking about. she came out with her story on exopolitics. That's when I first saw her, when she was on Dr. Sutton, and explained her abduction. It explained how the Greys were implanting a implant into her because they had plans for her the rest of, and then the Federation intervened and reprogrammed the implant to their frequencies. So because they couldn't remove it, they can't remove the implant, and the Greys would have been able to watch her and do and control her for the rest of her life. So the Federation intervened and reprogrammed her implant to their frequencies, and that's how the communication takes place. It's a physical device implanted in her. It's not channeling. So she told her story on exopolitics and a few other times, and she's got so much content that people that are joining her channel now are people that are joining the audience now. But wait a minute, how does she talk to them? Is she channeling them? And that's where the mistake gets made. And so it's very important that that part of her story gets told over and over and over again. It's very important to make that distinction. However, a girl that was one of the speakers that came through John, one of John's friends in Sedona, there's a lot of channeling here. And I mean, I can unpack this all night. But a girl, very talented, brilliant woman of wise soul. Her name's Aurora Luna Star. Very wise. I did a short interview with her for promo for the conference. I was blown away at how much wisdom she had. Just and her channeling thing is she's channeling her higher self, and it's for betterment of things. And she did a channeling, and I swear to you, so no, I've never been to a conference like mine in Sedona, in Odyssey, Sedona, where the crowd meditated so much. Every speaker was leading meditations. Aurora came on and did a meditation, and then she channeled, and I forget the name of the entities, whatever she channels. And I swear after it, I was hearing stuff like in my head, like, we want to work with you. Like I was hearing that. And I was like, because it was a unique meditation. She did like a Merkaba over your heart meditation, and it was a unique feeling for men. And I teach remote viewing. I meditate a lot. I meditate every day. And it was unique. It was a unique experience. And I swear I started to hear little hits later through the conference. And I was so busy I couldn't really get to them. We want to work with you, is what I have. We are interested in you. I'm hearing this. And I said, who? Chick, we want to work with you. And I said, you're not going to, pardon my language, but I said, you're not going to waste my fucking time. This was my response. You got to give me something. I'm not going to, nobody would answer a postcard at their doorstep that said, we want to work with you. Now we need you to go tell your family this. Now stop what you're doing and go tell these people this. Go down the street and say this. Nobody would do that. But because it comes through a telepathic means or a voice of God means or some other means, people go, okay, I've been sent to tell you something. But you would never do that for free for me. If I sent you a postcard and said, go and tell everybody in your neighborhood that they're going to be that this is going to happen on the 5th. You know what I'm saying? Like, you wouldn't do that for a postcard. You think, this is dumb. I wouldn't do this. You'd have to have an exchange, a proof. And so I said that. I said, you're not going to waste my time. You got to prove who you are. I don't want to work with you unless you're going to give me something. I'm not going to be your channel. I'm not going to be your little bitch. That's kind of was my response to the channeling. Maybe it was like some super high entity, something. Maybe it was some being. But that was my response to those thoughts. And maybe I was imagining it. Maybe it was. And when it went away, it hasn't happened since. So that was my answer to that. And the other thing about channeling is great. So if these being, because it is real, it needs to be explored. I'm not casting doubt on Aurora or what she did there, but I'm learning about the channeling because it is a real phenomenon. It's a real phenomenon. People are channeling. And my question is the message. You tell me something I don't know is my idea. Why open up a channel where you're going to go in front of people and say things and then say the same thing everybody already knows? And so I'm just, after seeing all of the confusion and all the things happen around Elena and how that has all played out, I just think that there's an easy way to be fooled by channeling. If they're not going to give you, like, you have to give me something, some proof. Tell me something that's going to happen in a week, or tell me something that we don't know yet that I can discover that can prove it. Sorry, did I lose you there?
No, not at all. Are you kidding me? This is my field. What people fail to understand because they're so sweet and they so innocently want to connect and they so innocently want to grow. Of course we do. We're incredible beings. But what a lot of people don't know or realize or are aware of is that there are so many lower astral entities on our planet. 2D, 1D, lower, and they're just waiting. They are just waiting. And when you open yourself up in certain ways, depending on what ray, what line, what light, what frequency, when our desire and need, like innocent children, to try to connect to something, we are at our most vulnerable. It's like even a child like me, totally clairvoyant, living in a haunted house, surrounded by physical, brutal violence with entities. They are real. And I would pray and pray and pray and pray for help, support, and I attracted a ton of demonics into my space and little dark imps my whole life. And I got to a point, and I've shared this many times. I was at a point where I was on the most incredible learning spiritual journey. I became an ordained reverend. We were working in a metaphysical realm with Dr. Chris Lamont, who's been on my channel many times, really taking apart, breaking it down, challenging everything. And he said to me, you have so many demons and darkness and entities in your space, Danny. I cannot believe that you're not fully possessed. Hearing that was a terrifying moment. He was always like, get him out, get him out. But he just put me straight and just said, get over yourself. Recognize when you got to tell people straight. You can't wipe their bottoms anymore. It's too late. It's too dangerous. We're in a death fight. The planet is in a spiritual war to the death. And so he said, when you were a little girl and you're being attacked by entities because they wanted to put your light out, what are you doing? I said, I'm screaming, I'm praying, and nobody's hearing me in my house. And he went, you pulled them in innocently. You did nothing. You were on survival mode. And they came in and they attached. And people, it's time, guys. We've got to drop the ego. I am seeing the ego. If people are more offended, Tony Rodrigues, about what some name someone calls you, impotent, incompetent, if you are more worried about the name and you're not focused on the work, focused on the mission, focused on your actual true abilities and experiences, what are you doing? You're showing that your emotional beingness has hit its ceiling. It doesn't have the bandwidth to expand its true self. It's stuck in the personality and the persona. What say you to that, my brother?
Wow, that's big. I kind of needed to hear that. I struggled with that myself. I was always somebody that was, in my childhood for whatever reason, like, when you're abused at a young age and what you go through, it's different for men and women, right? I understand the effects are different, but similar. But you become a people pleaser. You become somebody that just, and I've learned to really just let people work out their own problems on their own. Like I don't really rock the boat. I just go on about, fine, you want to believe in that bullshit? Fine, I'll go my way. I want to say this, that what you said about when you're channeling and letting in the demonic entities, that is exactly what I wrote about in my book, Project Star Maker.
Mhm.
So in the flights from Peru, when I was being drugged, I was having a near-death experience. The first 4 or 5, I didn't remember anything that happened. I was drugged and I'd wake up like a surgery. But because it was monthly for a couple years, I started to remember what was happening on the other side. And it was like a dark room with a window that pointed out at what I was seeing at my body. And there were entities there that were dying to get back in. They were stuck. They were trapped in this room, in this black space, in this space they were fighting over each other to speak through me. And I was stuck kind of in the corner. And I explained it in Project Star Maker. There's a chapter that explains exactly that phenomenon because that's what they were doing. They were drugging me to near death in Peru. That was the advanced remote viewing, is they were creating a pharmaceutically creating a channeler out of a kid, out of a 10-year-old kid. And so that's exactly what you're describing. We need to that's was one thing that was great about the Far Sight stuff. Aziz Brown, working with Aziz and Yemis, we really learned a lot about it. Far Sight's done a lot of research. Their channeling, I don't want to really chime in. They're doing things called board meetings there that I don't really understand fully how it's working, but they're researching that, and we've butted heads, right? So not me, but um, publicly between Dr. Sala and Dr. Courtney Brown and Elena. So there's a debate about the grays and the channeling, where this information comes from. And I want to remark on it by saying that it needs to be respected and studied, because this is a real phenomenon, and it's a dangerous thing to just be willy-nilly and take it for granted that whatever you're channeling is love and light, that they're good. And there are entities that are stuck in between, like you said, that can be dangerous. So opening this door there are protocols to protecting yourself, and there's ways to do it. So I don't know. I feel like I'm getting in deep water here. We're
Yeah.
getting into deep water.
So if we got a job to do, Tony. We have a job to do. So let's do it. We're not here for
Hmm.
likes, subs. We're not here to be, this and that. Okay, Tony.
Hmm. Well, what I'm
People,
saying is
go ahead.
it's new to me, and I'm currently researching the whole channeling thing. So it's new. Through the remote viewing group, we don't dabble with it in the remote viewing, and it's kind of down the road, but it's new. I'm kind of learning the science of it right now. So I'll look me up in a few months. I'll have a report.
Yeah. Well, then, might want to also look at the difference between, like, when I'm doing a reading, when I am reading someone, when someone's asked me to read them, scan them, look at them clairvoyantly, clairaudiently, clairsentiently, cognizantly, it is very similar protocol to remote viewing. But we never put them together because they've all been kept apart on purpose. Okay.
It's the same ability.
Yeah, very similar, very, very similar. But again, and this is the thing as well, people recognizing every single system, they're all together, they all dovetail together. But what they've done is separate us all, break us all apart. So we can't put the information together. It's like the LGBTQ, whatever else they're adding on these days. Why are we putting them as a separate beingness of humans? We are all humanity. And it's really that simple. We don't need to complicate it. Yeah, but no, but yeah, but no, but stop it. We're all a humanity in our different colors and ways and abilities. Metaphysical. We're all metaphysical beings. We all have an ability. We all have an intuition. We all have fight or flight. You know, fawn, or I forget the other one. It's a therapeutic term. But the way that I read, I go, I look, I bring back information. I can go into someone's house during a reading. I can tell them, this is your living room. If I turn right, I see this. If I turn left, I see this. I'm not special. We all have the ability. But then what do we do with it? We get so carried away with our huge ego. I'm going to make a business out of this. I'm going to read everyone. You will fry yourself doing that. You put yourself in great harm. You open yourself to the gray agenda. Now, the gray entities that were here eating people, enslaving them, taking eggs and making hybrid children, yeah, happened to the men too. When you're shown a hybrid child and you've got a maternal or a paternal instinct, which most humans actually have naturally, part of our beingness, we're amazing, beautiful beings. Your pull to that hybrid child is horrific, because you want to be with that one. What if you can't have kids? What if you were so damaged as a woman in your womb, which has happened to people that we know speak out loud, that you couldn't have kids physically, but there's a hybrid child somewhere for you? You are sucked in. You are pulled in because the grays, the physical grays that we talk about, are gone. There's the abductions from the Dwight Eisenhower time are done, but we are still being used and run. Some people, and they confuse the information, they make it up. People have to remember also, Tony, that the new age does not exist. What's been has always been. We've always had ancient technology, crystals, beingness, creating heat, creating energy for ourselves. But what has been invented and what is new is the name New Age, because that, my darlings, is a psychological operation designed to get you into the angels and the fairies and the dolphins and the unicorns and the dragons and your abilities and your omnipresent abilities and the fact that you were the Queen of Sheba, Mother Mary, Jesus himself, and all of that. That is what you need to take apart for yourself, breaking down remote viewing, psychic readings, channeling, for example. Tony.
Wow, I feel like I'm just watching the show. This is good. It's amazing. And you're making all great, these are all good points. Like I'm learning as I go in many things, and I'm working on, I've got a lot of irons in the fire with what I've uncovered, with what I've learned already, because the remote viewing's a hit. It does, it works. You can teach people to do it. It's an amazing ability. Everybody has it. And it's the same science, exactly what you're saying. Um, when I look back at, um, what was in my latest book, Beyond Sight, for the whole Inyo thing, that was advanced research and development of remote viewing. That was as far as they could go, was doing it on kids in that 9-month window, before they finally changed the rules and made it to where people had to join on a volunteer basis to go through the training. Um, but I'm still unpacking that. There's still a lot of technology I'm trying to develop around it, and so I can share. And I'm pretty much an open book about it. The other thing I want to say this, and this also, I'm already in the deep, we're already in the deep water. I'm already naming names, which I don't like to do because, I want to maintain some, I don't like um, cutting, burning bridges. Like even I feel even somebody that's really horrible, and I'm not subscribing to anybody I'm talking about, but anybody that's really horrible, I just don't want to burn the bridge. I want to have them have the ability to have a change of heart and grow. So that somebody might hate me today and go off in a few years and grow, and we might get along great in 5 years. And that's how I do. So forget who I was going to mention. But
That's
in the
part of it.
process,
Sorry, let's just go there for a second because you lost your thought as well, because there's a trauma spot right there in you. And that's the inner child coming
yes.
up and through. That you can only feel safe, that you're not going to be hurt or harmed in the horrific ways that you have been, that most people could never bring to mind. The torture, the real torture from adults. Yeah. And each time you were tortured in the satanic realm, which we're going to go to, you thought you were going to die, and you had to watch other children lose their lives, but it wasn't you. And then you carry that, oh my gosh, it wasn't me. And then there's the guilt. So, what we do in adulthood, we still got these wounds that we're trying to heal, and we're trying to live the life we're under with all the repression that's also been programmed in. It's so much. And so, you are such a peacemaker because that's how you have made yourself feel safe. If someone's nice to you, or you'll chase after and be the pleaser, I've done it. We all do it. A lot of us do it, and that's one of the reasons, because you feel safer. Me, I'm at a point for a long time now. I'm like, I'm not here for you to like me. I've gone past that. And there's no judgment, Tony, because the work you're doing is so important on our planet. You are a loving, compassionate man, so you don't change. We're all in, I've got a shit ton to learn. I've got so much to learn still. I know that. I'm a human. That's why we came back. Anyway, over to you, my love.
Oh, I was just going to say, I um, remember what I was saying. I wrote it down so I remember this. And I want to say this about, and I don't want to burn bridges and I don't want to insult anybody, but I've read a lot of books on remote viewing, the other teachers of remote viewing. I've read their books. And it seems that all of them, while being effective, tend to leave out one or two things that are integral to being a great remote viewer. That's what I've learned. A lot of the books will tell you everything but one thing. And it's usually around the targeting. They don't want to share how to do targeting and what you can unpack. So the real power of remote viewing is choosing what you're going to view, right? Obviously. The real power of your eyes is where you point them. And you have the focus, and somebody has better vision than somebody else. Somebody needs glasses. The eyes are important, right? but where you point the eye is the most important. And that seems to be locked up by a lot of remote viewing people, groups out there. Everybody does remote viewing, but we're picking the target. I choose the target. I examine the data. I choose what you're going to look at. It's me. It's, you know what I'm saying? That's where the superpower resides. And in my group and in my literature that I put out, I kind of fired it all out there for everybody. I'm being transparent because it is a superpower. It is a superpower, and people need to be empowered with it. But targeting is a big deal, and there are other methods. It's nothing wrong with some of the groups have developed their own methods and they patent them or copyright them or whatever. That's fine. The basic methods of remote viewing are public knowledge, and a lot of people have put them out there for public. You can go on YouTube and learn how to remote view. Targeting, having somebody else target for you is the best way, and that takes a while. So I just wanted to say that before we move on.
Okay, we're going to show on the subject of remote viewing, we're actually going to share your remote viewing session that you most recently did. So why don't we get to that? Because we've still got a few more big heavyweight
Yes.
guys.
I did a promo video. It went pretty viral. I think it had 5,000 views really quick. It's a short that I put out. My targeters for me, so I'm trying to put together a YouTube show. The new channel is going to be called Remote Viewing Collective, the Remote Viewing Collective. So that's a YouTube channel I'm going to do. It's going to be a show. Um, so I did a remote view, and I don't do them that often. So it was really neat. So my targeters chose your event, chose the flyover at GSIG, right? And I put that clip out. So I put a 2-minute clip out that we edited heavily. I have a 15-minute clip. Do you want to show the whole thing? It's
Whole
15
thing.
minutes.
The whole
Okay.
thing. Like I haven't seen it. I've only seen the viral clip that you put out, which was amazing. I think you said there's a blonde woman there and she's about 38. I'm like, oh, I love you. I'm like, add another
Yeah,
of that, you
we
know.
cut that out because that was they all. But you know what? That's how I feel. To me, you do look like you. That's what you are to
So
me.
I feel like
Um,
energetically, but like visually, no. We let's get real. We know. I'm in
no,
love.
you're beautiful.
Well,
Now you own it. Just own it.
it's not about me.
Okay, I'm finally putting you on the spot. You got to own it, girl.
Let's
Okay, I
say
want to say this. In the video, there was one piece of data about the blonde girl. In the video, I said she's wearing a uniform, a vest, an orange vest. Said she's wearing something from the hip up, a vest. And you know what I realized after I watched this video? It was the G-SIG, the band, the name tag.
oh.
It was that we were all wearing uniform. It was a uniform. The name tag, it was orange. It was glowy. And so I saw the shining of it. I saw it like you know how the vests have the reflective stuff. That's what I saw was the reflection. But when I look back on it, it's the G-SIG head, the name tag
Oh
with
wow.
the glowing.
It was rose
Let me cue this
gold.
up.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Okay. Yeah, if you want to make it where I can share screen, I'll put it up.
It's done.
Okay, share with sound. Uh, Zoom US, enter my password to allow this.
No, 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 no. Let's put it on hold
Hang
for a
on
second.
one second.
Pause. Sorry.
H552. R401. I get a structure both times. H552R401. I get a tall structure.
There's no sound, Tony. We need your sound, my love. Unmute.
It's not. How about now?
Like this is a
Perfect.
dry area,
Nothing?
so there's something different
Oh,
going on.
perfect. We can hear you now.
And this whole area's got rain. I definitely got this being dry. And then when I got this metal cylinder here, or this metal circular thing, I got rain on it, or wetness, or wet. I get flat. I got a big flat plane, you know. I got a big flat area.
Do you hear anything?
Yeah, it's loud. Loud like cars, like a racetrack, loud like a racetrack. Do it again.
You have to get an emotional temperature.
E temp is like a 2 to a 3. It's busy. There's people. I get people. Lots of people. It's like a race going on. There's something going on. There's like trucks and cars. It's a truck. There's cars going on. There's big vehicles, buses. It's busy. It's a busy area. Looking above, I see kind of a big, like this is a parking lot. You know, people, cars can go in. It's a parking lot. This is a big, I don't know, a big area. Like a concert. It's like this. There's something black. Like a pile of, it's a big pile in the distance over here. And this is a big parking lot. Like, yeah, this is a big parking lot thing. And this is a big pile of something like black. And it's connected to something else. So it's big. I had originally small over here, but that's wrong. I keep getting big every time I probe. I'm getting a large area. Look at when, especially when I look top down. Like I said, getting an area with a big pile of material, and it's got an area around it, and I'm seeing a road that goes to this larger complex over here. It's like a parking lot, and this is doing this. This is a structure. There's a structure here. So this is structure. And it's got an angle. There's something like that going on. There's some sort of angle. There's a structure there. This is a pile of stuff. There's people back and forth. There's vehicles going back and forth. And there's a lot of stuff, commotion going on here. There's commotion. This very first audiogram. Oh. Like off in the distance. So this, if I could cut this out, is like off in the distance. Like a river. That would put our cylinder off to the side of it. Like a ladder. That's the scene. Water next to his big cylinder is what I'm seeing. And it's not in relation to this area. It's separate. It's the subject. Like this feels like the subject matter of what's going on here. Like these people are aware of this. So that's the subject of this, or part of it. There's a connection. There's a connection. Dominant target aspect. Let's go for it. It's a person. I'm looking over here like there's a person in this. There's a female biological, female subject. My handwriting is not great in here. There's a female biological involved here.
Can you get an emotional temperature on her?
Yeah, she's anxious. She's a 7, and it's anxious, like anxiety. She's got anxiety.
Can you tell what she's doing?
She's waiting. I got her waiting for something. H5. She's writing stuff. She's writing. She's got like a board, like a book, and she's writing. People are dealing with her, and she's writing stuff down. There's a book. There's a book. She's got a uniform. Not like a uniform, not a full uniform, but she's wearing like a vest from the waist up. She's wearing a uniform. Is what I got. Blonde hair, long hair. She's directing traffic here for some reason. Oh, wow. So I get some people meeting, and they're happy. They're having fun. They're like, hi. She's like, hi, how's it going? Great to see you. And there's like a couple other people. Big, tall guy, couple guys. And some of their friends. And back walking up, and they're walking. These guys are walking this way. And she's greeting them. She's got blonde hair. This guy's in a red shirt. This guy's in regular stuff. And they're walking this way. And they're in a big area. And it's nighttime. Or it's dusk. Dusk or late nighttime.
Mm-hmm.
Dark. And they're helping out. These guys are helping out. And so she's in orange. She's got an orange thing on, reflective. And they're going over there. They are in this area. This is what I see. They're here. They're coming in here. They're going this way. And then they're going to go this way. I don't know, man.
I made it there. I made the
Looks
target.
pretty,
You want to know what it is?
sure. Yeah, let's do the reveal.
All right, cool. Let me see what it says here. Da, 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 da. So here's the target. Who was flying above the crowd of people assembled with Elena Denon, September 27th, 24, GSIC count, Denver,
Oh,
Colorado.
dang.
Identify the beings and their intentions.
Oh, shoot. Oh, that was a big black thing like there where they're, oh my God. And they were helping out. They were pulling into like a base. It's a base. It's a black bunker where the triangle flew out, and that's Danny. Oh shit. But what is this? So there was the structure. I'll bet this was the Weston. The first thing I saw was the Weston.
Yeah.
That's where it was. And this was where everybody was. This was the flyby because it was just like that. It was super busy. This area, this cylinder. I got a river here. Look, this is where they came from then. It's like I got a river area and a silo, like a farm silo, that where it was raining. And it was cloudy and rainy. I'm gonna go look at the weather reports. And this dude was in the red shirt. These guys were helping out. They were helping out. But like I said, here's the black bunker. So this is really where the triangle shape came from. And I got it. I got over here was a triangle. You know what I mean? Like I did structure. I just recognized it as structure real fast, and I got this one.
Yeah.
This is what I saw. But the second time I went to triangle it, and I just stopped. I bit my tongue on that one. This was a structure. This was a triangle, and then I kept coming back to the square shape.
Do you think this group of people around the racetrack was all the people gathered watching the event?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. This was the event that they were flying over.
Okay.
And so this was actually, no, dude, this was, you said, was this the looking down or was it this one?
That was looking
This
down.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. There's the Weston. And right here's where it was. There was an amphitheater. It was like this. And it was a downhill. It was a hill. And Danny guys were standing here. We were standing right here and they flew this way. Like that was the flyby. And they flew this way. The triangle, the first time it flew that way. Wow, dude.
So what was this over here
Okay.
again?
I think that's where it came from.
Okay, that's this again, but bigger.
I think this is the base. This is the black bunker. I said it's a pile of black. I think this is where it came from. This is the airport, man. Like that's where this is the base. And there were people, you said, who are the people?
Yeah.
They were coming here and going in. And this was a black pile of black. It was like this. So, not bad. I gotta say, not a bad score.
Good job, man.
My uniform. Oh, wait.
Good morning. It is a new day of working.
YouTube started playing in the next one. So here's my uniform. So I didn't realize this at the time, but you had I don't know if you were wearing it that night, but I keyed up on the orange shiny thing, and I thought it was like a vest, like a reflective vest, but really it was an orange shiny thing, which was a uniform because we all had to have it to get on stage.
That
How'd I
was
do?
Tony. Okay, so the first thing is you nailed it. But also the most important premier point to make as to why you were able to nail that with your beautiful, dedicated, honest people that gave you a blind, unknown target. The reason why you are so good at remote viewing is because I find it so hard to talk about your past. As a little, beautiful, tiny little boy, you were kidnapped, you were used in the military, you were used in Peru as a drug trafficking seer, remote viewer, and you were on a plane alone in Peru, used on the plane, drugged to the point of death. And in that in between, you were able to then view to see if there were police in the area, whether the drug drop was going to be good, etc. So for people that don't know about your very important past, they must know that. And it is horrific what has happened to you in your life. And to see you using that trauma, but you already had those abilities. Going back further, Tony Rodrigues, you were already known and pointed out as a gifted child, and you are a gifted little boy at school. And in your circle of gifted children was the one child that you had a telepathic 2-second conversation with, saying, these girls will never date you. You can't see, you can't read minds. And from that, he went to his dad, who was a satanic, and they took your life for 20 years. And again, for people, we have to remember the 3 elements on the planet that really do override all the other systems. It's the satanics, the occult, the black magic, the leaders of the planet, on and off planet. Reptilians and greys are gone now. That power plant, that point of insertion is gone. And we have the military, the dark military. Then we have the galactics. It's satanic, it's galactics, and it's military. And Tony, you are pretty much one of the only people I've met so far that nail all 3. So for anyone out there who's skeptic, this is not the broadcast for you, but Tony is a long tenured remote viewer from being a little boy. That was incredible. So anyone that wasn't there at our event, you come out of the Westin Hotel, which is a big block. It's just a big block, right? There's like, I think 14 floors, straight up and down. When you come out of the back, you go through a courtyard, and then you cross a road, and then there's a parking lot where all the hotel guests park their cars. Then there's another area, and you can stand on this flat platform where Elena Danan and I were, and John Charles was there, Melanie Charret, Michael Sala, other speakers of that year. And then you can go downstairs to an amphitheater based on the original Greek amphitheater, a gathering place, something we would see in the Colosseum, but that was more of a full circle. But the point is, or Glyphada, Athens, the Acropolis, and then the Pantheon. So these structures have gone down a timeline, and in modern day, we have one at the Westminster, the Westin Hotel in Westminster. And so people were, and to hear you say it was like noises at a racetrack, yes, the roar of the crowd, the incredible. And that everybody was down in a concert type situation. Yes, they were in the circle, down in the amphitheater. It's mind-blowing, all the points you hit. Stairs going down, amphitheater, concert, the blonde directing. It's so great because I haven't seen the full thing. Go ahead.
I was going to ask, did you at some point have a book that night? Did you have a clipboard or a book or anything with you that night?
I did. I had my list
I'm
because
curious.
I did. Tony, you nailed it. So I created GISIC. I created this conference, right? In order to bring everyone together, humanity, the audience have their own experiences. They're amazing. But for the speakers who need to land the information so humanity gets on a track of here's all the people with actual proof, it was just beyond. I told everyone in 2 or 3 different broadcasts right before it happened, Elena was so cool. She was so chill because she knew it was happening. And I had a moment where I thought, oh my God, what if it's 2 or 3 hours? Oh my God, I know it's happening. I know it's coming. I've seen Thorhan, this is real. It's not fantasy.
You had a 7 of anxiety.
I was so anxious because here I am for a year saying to people, the spacecraft are coming, we're guaranteeing a flyover, it's happening. The pressure I felt in that moment, so that you picked up during the event, my anxiety. And I had to walk away. And as I walked away into these bushes, I was saying a prayer. I was saying, like, make it happen, guys. Do not let 1,000 people down. Please don't do that. It's too important. And that was my anxiety that you felt. And as I was in the bushes, that's when the TR3B flow low stealth, and it had its lights off, and it was a triangular craft. And I saw 3 lights, but they weren't on. That's how low it was. I could see the light anomalies. And then when it flew over the crowd, it popped its green corner lights on. I did not see one in the middle. I only saw 1, 2, 3. That's what I witnessed. And Tony, it's just so amazing that you did that. Now, on the negative side, people, the 2D brains, the brains that are stuck, that just can't allow reality. It's okay, darling. At one point, you're going to catch up because you have no choice. Disclosure is happening. Not that I want to insult. I don't. I get so passionate about these things, and I make no apology. Tony, I'm not sorry for my passion, because I know that if people don't get it, like, we're in a death fight. Again, not to get into drama, anyone to go, oh my God, stop. Raise the vibration, be in the love. We're bringing you the truth, beloveds. We're bringing you the truth.
It's true. I want to say that this target, because I was there, was unique. Because I was there. I was a witness. I was remote viewing my own past, unknown to me. Like, it was totally unknown. So it's technically a beacon target. So it was blind, but I was the beacon in it. So there's a technique of remote viewing where you put somebody on the site and then you remote view that person. They're your target there as a beacon, and you describe what's going on. So somebody, the government, obviously they did this for spying, for their spies. So tell me if he's safe or not. So that's what they were using early remote viewing for. Field operational remote viewing was for people in a spy situated combat situation. So is the sniper safe? Is somebody coming up on him? Yes, somebody's coming. And so they did. So this was a beacon remote viewing, which can raise the accuracy somewhat. But I had no idea. You can hear in my voice when he did the target reveal. I was completely shocked. And at that point, I still had no idea that it was the flyover. I just knew the information that I put out. I had no idea what it was. And the thing that I hope doesn't get me in big trouble is that we with the rain and the cylinders and the black, we kind of zeroed in on one of the Air Force bases in the Panhandle. I mean, I have the name of it, but I'm not going to say it because I don't want to have guys show up at my door telling me to quit remote viewing.
No,
So,
yeah,
but
Tony, sorry to interrupt you, darling. Please forgive me. We've got to get past that. The Earth military are working in tandem with Galactic Federation of Worlds, not light, not the PSYOP, Galactic Federations of Light, the gray PSYOP guys, just so we're clear. We proved that they are working together. And so they have allowed the possibility that you might name the local military base. Plus, we know that NORAD's there. It's actually old news. Denver, Colorado, 25 miles away from that hotel. That's why I didn't have it in Denver. The dark energy that it does exist there, like it did in Orlando. That's why I did my first 2 G6 in Orlando, to bring the light to some of the most horrific trafficking, etc. areas that exist underground. I deliberately chose Denver. The great reason I chose it was because I was so wanting darling Alex Collier. Really, truly, that was my first, like, I'm going to do one there. See if I can get him out of retirement, which worked. But also because I felt guided to bring the light, the beautiful 1,000 people, because we made a bump. Do you remember last year? at GISIC. We're standing on stage. It was you and Jean-Charles and Dan Willis, and you took a photo, a selfie of the crowd going mad
At
behind.
the end.
Yeah, and it was beautiful. And you showed the Schumann resonance spike. And you said to me, they think it's not real. Look at this, and it was like, whoop. And that's just one like pointer for frequency raising that we can map. But oh my God, it was so much more than that. But that was just mind blowing. And how you did it and the working out is stunning.
Thanks. So that's what I want to like. That's the new YouTube channel. I want to drive. I've always been on Patreon and not on YouTube, but I intend to do way more of these shows, these remote viewings. I'm looking for people for targets. So I want to do a show where I interview people and then remote view what their subject matter is, unbeknownst to the viewers, and we'll use that medium, the VR, 3D, and with Zoom calls for people that do it. And I want to start showcasing it. I think a lot of people have no idea how to use this stuff. And it's you do remote view. You remote view every day. You remote view in your day. You go, I don't feel like it. I'm going to go this way. You remote view that. It's your sixth sense. That's all it is. It's just getting a better acuity of your senses. That's it. And so I'm looking forward to kind of doing that as, like putting that out there. I think it'll reach a wider audience. The other thing is, so between you and me and the fence post, I'm trying to hook people in and bring them into the disclosure information without, giving them the whole red pill at once. I'm trying to, people get come in and breeze and go, oh, this remote viewing. Wow, that looks cool. How do you do that? Who is this guy? Look at his web. Oh, secret space program. What is that? And then they move slowly into it. And so for me, my testimony is hard for a lot of people to swallow right out of the gate. They have to be kind of, raised up. So the remote viewing channel is kind of my secret plan to get them to disclose, to bring them to disclosure. It's my secret evil plan. They'll come into the remote viewing, and I think it'll just be a wider audience. Plus, it's so much fun. So.
But the other great thing is, Tony, is you are making it so accessible, the truth of our beautiful beingness. We are so incredible. Our skills, our talents, and I mean every single one of you. Every single one of you. There are no exceptions. Some are further along than others. It doesn't matter. There's that saying, well, I'll say it. Teacher, student, student, teacher. Every human, no matter how much we think we know, we have to have the bandwidth to accept that there's always more to learn from others that we may deem lower than us. How arrogant, that's ego, that's the trap. No, student, teacher, teacher, student. This is how it's going. And that we're bringing in more of the understanding of the beauty of the human. The fully realized human has the ability to do all of this. And it is the natural nature of the beautiful genetic brilliance of the human, the individuated soul fractal from source that inhabits the physical vessel. These are the things. It's not against anything, any system, religion. That is there, but this is here. And this is what we are doing our best to help you with. Now we're going into another subject. Put on your big girl pants, boys and girls, because we're going to attempt to bring some more information that links together galactics, the military, and the satanics. The satanic occult exists. The dark magic with a K never went anywhere. They just made you think it did. Everything dark you've heard before has still existed, but now it's being exposed. Because wherever there is darkness, when there's the tiniest flicker of light, we see the light. We see it. But in a light field, the tiniest flicker of darkness, no one sees that. Tony.
So I've been researching it a lot lately, and this is difficult to speak about because a lot of people don't have the stomach for what goes on. I put in my book, a lot of people were really had a tough time reading the brutal things that I put in the first half of Ceres Colony Cavalier. Nonetheless, I have to figure out why people could be like that. And you're very accurate to call them the predator class. So I talk about it in my groups. A lot of people don't agree with a lot of things I say. We've been this vehement rejection of them. These people are evil, should be banned and put to death, but we need to understand our enemy before we approach them. So to just walk in and say, you're evil, I'm going to get you. That's what's been going on for thousands of years. It hasn't worked. We need to understand them. We need to put them under a microscope and shine light on it. The reality is that they're a soul group, or they're a version of consciousness that is subscribed to one falsehood, that they are not part of the rest of us, that they don't belong to the rest of the consciousness, that they are in charge of it, or they somehow have authority over people. They see people. He referred to us when I was in Seattle, when I was watching this sacrificial murder, and he walked us up. He said, "You're the dead. You're all the dead." They referred to everybody as the dead. They see themselves as separate from us. And that is what's dark. That is the darkness, because therein lies the lie. You cannot be separate from the source of the universe. We are all made out of the same stuff. We birth from the same energies. We're all the same thing. We're all one, the entire universe, the desk, the planet, the plants, the trees, the air, even space, and us are made of the same, birthed of the same thing, of the same source. We're all part of one organism. And so for them to enjoy what they're doing, or excuse me, justify it, they must deny that they are part of it, that we're all part of the same thing. So there's no empathy, and they can go ahead and do the things they do. They see themselves as separate than us. The ETs, the Grays, it's the same thing. They see themselves as separate than everybody else, and it's not true. You're the same. You are the same. On a quick side note, I get asked all the time, tell me about the ETs you met. I wasn't that impressed. You know why? Because ETs are people the same way when you meet people. You're going to be just as impressed when there's a disclosure and you go off into space. You're going to be just as impressed with ETs as you are with people. If you don't get along with people here, you're not going to get along with people up there, because they're just people. There's nothing special because it's a frog. It's a person that'll give you the same kind of attitude. So we're all part of the same organism, and on our level of consciousness where we can communicate, we're all the same thing. The satanics believe themselves separate, and that's why they're living in darkness. That is the deal. They don't have the light about that. I've been studying a lot. I've been trying to unpack why this happens, how did this happen, and what's going on. And they set themselves apart through cannibalism, through sacrifice, and through ancient beliefs that ancient man needed. So there was a time when cannibalism made sense, when people were living out in the wood in the cold night, and they didn't have a roof, and they didn't have food, and they died, and somebody died, they ate them. We were made out of food. Cannibalism was more acceptable thousands of years ago, when people were literally living in the woods amongst the animals. So it was a different thing. So it changed, but these people left. There are consciousness effects. There are things that happen when somebody dies. When an animal dies, there's a little blip in the local area. When a human dies, there's a big blip, because our consciousness is so big. And so they learn to manipulate these energies to their benefit, to poke holes and speak to the other side, and channel things and use psychic abilities to become adept with, and then they buried it for themselves. So these people of like minds that are all in the darkness and feel themselves separate from us, that want to rule, probably stemming from ET influences too. I mean, there's a lot I don't know. But that's what seems to be what's gone on. So there's a consciousness technology that's been buried over thousands of years, that they've exploited to put themselves in, to have wealth and power. And so that's really what we're up against. And it needs to be respected as such. You can't say they're just evil, these people are crazy and insane, and they're evil, and then that's it. Because we're not going to get anywhere with that. They also own everything, and they have access to our military. They're banded together. They're very brilliant. And when you look at the animal kingdom, so there's our blueprint for for our situation we live in, the animal kingdom. You're very right to call them the predator class. The animal kingdom, the animals are unaware of predators most of their life. I say this all the time, like a zebra has no idea there's alligators in the water until one gets them. They have no idea that it's there. They just cross the water. They don't even, you know what I'm saying? They don't even know. Not all the time, but what I'm saying is they're unaware. They live amongst the predators in nature, and we live amongst the predators too because of the secrecy. We are unaware that they're there. We would behave differently. The zebra would not cross the river if he was aware of the alligators. And so that's our blueprint for what's going on. And these people are exploiting us. So that's the deal. We need to understand it, and we need to find we need to find safer river crossings. We need to understand what's going on. And there was one other point I wanted to go on that regard, but it's just what I'm saying is this is a difficult subject to breach out of everything. To tell people that don't believe in aliens that, hey, I worked on a UFO for 12 years is easy compared to telling people that, hey, the people that own the news media that told you, and the people that in the United Nations eat people. And that's what they're doing with the immigrants that are coming across the border. It's a smorgasbord for them to breach that subject matter and say that that's really what's going on. And because they eat people, they're in the same, and they're pedophilic. It puts them in the same club and guarantees their loyalty. That's the point I was going to say, was that when you look at the animals in the animal kingdom, they have disease and predators is their problem, and food. But herbivores, they can eat all over. They just move to where there's new food. That's it. The predators have other predators as their problem. The predators eat well, and they don't have to eat all the time. An herbivore has to eat constantly, all the time, kind of like a human does. Your typical person that's living check to check, they have to constantly work, and they're constantly doing that. The predators make a kill, and they have lots of food for a long time. Then they can wait and make another kill. And it seems to be the same symbiosis. We look at the same laws of nature that are applying. The humans live by all the laws of nature. But the predators, since they're secretive, we have no idea how they get on and what their deal is. And they worry about each other. The worst thing that can happen to a lion is another lion. So that's what we're seeing. We see these play out. We're literally watching it play out. People act like you know what I mean? Like it's just random. But we're seeing predators fight predators in the political arena, in the social arena, in the media arena. We see it all the time. The predators fight other predators. And that's what we're seeing. I say it all the time. The political people they're not fighting for us, they're fighting over us. And so kind of unpacking that and we need to look at this in a more logical way. We need to look at this in a way that lets us understand it, and then we can figure out a way around it. We can't just knee-jerk reaction, because that's what they're built for. They've built the system for us to panic and attack. And so we need to expose their information that's been secretive for a long time by any means necessary. And we need to have an open discussion that these people exist, that they're thriving amongst us, and they can be evil all you want. They live in the darkness of the fact that they think that they're separate than us, which is false. And so we need to understand the mechanics that are going on about it. So sorry, I'm on a rant, but I'm also short for time.
Don't you ever say sorry. I know you've got 2 classes. I think we should come back and do a continuation of the demonics. I just want to say to people, one of the things to understand, many of you do, so many of you, and thank you for subscribing and coming to this channel, because I cover every subject under the sun, this glorious sun of ours. And the demonics, the satanics, the black magic, and how it is infested into every element, every system. People open-minded enough to accept that when you're looking at these top leaders, a lot of them are only in that position because they sold their soul to the devil. That's their God. So one of the biggest questions on the planet is always, when someone's giving grace to God, thank God, which God? Which God?
Wow.
Wow. like land the plane. Let's land the plane. When you see a president being inaugurated, are they using the left hand or right hand? Have they got a gloved hand? Are they putting their hand on a holy Bible? Like we got to look at all of these things that are always there for us to see. A lot of your global leaders, A-list actors, musicians, singers, they've done deals with the dark to enhance their abilities. They may have been groomed young. They knew no better. They were tricked, like Tony was, to give consent. They're very clever. And you have to recognize there are assigned demonics to these human beings. And the assigned demonics will use the physical vessel of the human. And through the physical human body, in agreement, they will cannibalize, they will grape or vape, yeah? Whatever they want. They will terrorize, they will control. This is a reality. Now, the great news is we're coming to an end of it. The complete revelation of it is what is coming out. Now, don't go into fear and trauma. It's too late for that. Now, just keep your resonance high. Know that there are people like Tony Rodrigues and myself and others who are putting the information into the field at such a time, because we're telling you it is coming to an end, but you've got to be aware of the existence of it and raise your frequency. What can you do? I'll tell you. The one weapon you have against demolition of your soul and your entrapment is not being fearful. When you drop down to that low death resonance of fear and survival and pain and agony, and I'll do anything, and I'm praying, and I'm, please help me, like I did. I was almost got possessed by that. Remember I told you earlier? Yeah? If I can be this vulnerable, I'm telling you the truth. Your weapon is to not fear. Get on with your inner healing. Get on with reconnecting to your family, to your friends, and even if they don't respond, doesn't matter. Get the pain out of your body. You are the greatest weapon of light against the dark, my love.
I want to say one thing to that, because that's been my experience. When I gave up being afraid of my shadow, my life really turned around. One thing that Dan Willis shares with us in his presentation at GSIC is something that maybe helps people to embrace not being afraid. So when you're afraid, you're actually calling in these energies. It's consent. Fear is a consent for a predator, right? So when you're afraid, oh, you're going to get me, then the predator comes in. The predator smells fear and gets you. So, you know, the predators go after the ones that are afraid of them. So, because if you're not afraid, that means you can hurt them, right? So they just naturally pick on the bully. But when you think about your fear, when you start to be fearful, you need to remember what Dan Willis said from Genhan Iridian working on his project. The universe tends to perfection. So if you're not afraid of what the universe is going to deal to you, say, I don't care what happens. I really don't. That's my answer. We were talking off camera. I don't really care what happens. I don't care because I'm not afraid of it, because the universe tends to perfection. And my perspective of it, if I'm not afraid, the universe wants me to have what's perfect for me. So letting go of the fear gives that consent, takes that consent away from what other people are trying to do. Oh, excuse me, predators are trying to do. When you let go of that fear, the universe wants to give you your perfect experience. So that's the bottom line. But I got to wrap, Danny. I got a show in 10 minutes for the remote. It's a remote viewing class. Come and see me on Talks with Tony on Patreon/Talks with Tony, or you can get it through Tony Rodrigues. I am working on so many things. I'm revamping a lot of stuff, working on my fourth book for you, because we have the next GSIG. Thank you so much for having me back. I will bring it to, and I'm working on the learning stuff. We're going to build a nutrition course for Maple Street Learning. That's going to come out soon, hopefully before the next GSIG. I don't know. It's got to work. And so we'll see. and just unpacking this stuff. Like I am going to go into the darkness. I've been following the work of Dr. Lee Merritt. She's amazing. I met her at GSIC, and what a brilliant mind. What an amazing titan of a brain. And so I learned so much from her and her presentation. I'm going back down that rabbit hole because it all dovetails into what I remember. It validated. She said she shared literature, and as I read other testimonies, it's exactly what I said in my book, Ceres Colony Cavalier, that dovetailed. So I'll be unpacking that and sharing that too as we are. And Danny, you're the only one that really doesn't shy away from this information. Every other place I've been, they cut it out. I did 4 episodes for a large network, Gaia, that they cut one of them out because they didn't want to share any of that dark stuff. They just don't want to share it. So a lot of other people too, nobody breaches it. They want to hear about Mars and laser beams. Nobody wants to hear about what's going on with the people that own everything. So there, I'm done.
Tony, thank you so much. I'll continue a little after this with a couple of announcements for our beloveds that watch this. But just give us your final thoughts, please, and any links that you didn't mention.
Sure. You can get me on TonyRodrigues.com. I'm expanding. I added a Saturday slot for the remote viewing group. It's growing. It's fun. I'm passionate about it. Like I said, we are working slowly but steadily on the Maple Street Learning. I got another book in the works, and I'm working on psychoenergetic. Check this out real quick. I'm working on recreating the psychoenergetic monuments that I presented on at GC. So I'll be making obelisks that do things. I'm in Sedona where people make things. And so I'm going to try to recreate some of that technology and work on it alongside. Who knows? If it works, I'll let you know. If it don't, I'll let you know. But I've got a lot of things to work on, and I've got a couple months after Odyssey to really get busy. So by the time of the next GSIC, I should have a lot of content to share that I'm working on. I'm really going to bring some things to bear. Now that I have all this conference, the speaking season behind me. So I'm sorry. Yeah, TonyRodrigues.com, and the Patreon is Talks with Tony, Patreon/Talks with Tony. And I just started yesterday the YouTube channel Remote Viewing Collective, and that's where I'm going to be posting the shows and all the remote viewing videos to try to snag some people into the subject matter. We got to wake people up one thing at a time.
Yeah, we do. Well, Tony Rodrigues, my brother from another star mother, thank you for your bravery. Thank you for your testimony. And thank you for the incredible work that you are putting into the field for everyone and the children. I love you, sir.
I love you, Danny. I love you guys. I'll see you guys later. Okay. Bye.
Nice sweetheart. There he is, the great, the one and only Tony Rodrigues. Now, there are 2 books in this world that I have read about the current system, about the shadow system, not the financial system, not the. Okay, everything has its place. Tony Rodrigues is such a man that you would be well advised to get his book about his journey of being kidnapped by a satanic family for, as I mentioned, him upsetting the boy in his class, the gifted class. He was a satanic son of a satanic man that then arranged to have Tony kidnapped by Greys. Now, it happened, and way back in early 1950, Grey ETs were working with the American government. And what those stinky ass bastards do is they go to a culture and they say, our planet is dying. Please can we take some DNA samples so we can make babies and people and we can survive. They've done it throughout the universe over and over and over. They are no longer here. They have caused and harmed so many people. There are some people just waking up to this information, and maybe you're reading information down the timeline, which does happen because we're metaphysical beings. So don't sink into the idea that they're still here, because some of you you're so offended. You've got this group of people that follow you and you're talking about the Greys and the reptilians, and your ego just can't stand the fact that the Sakar reptilians, the Dracos, the Iban, the Mitra, the Greys, they are not allowed to physically be here or harm humans anymore. There is a time loop that Elena described, but I don't know enough about that. So go look at what Elena says on that. But this is disclosure. And do you know what? I think of all the subjects that we've discussed in this broadcast, late October 2024, I think what I, Danny Henderson, lover of humanity, everywhere in the solar system, humanity everywhere in the solar system, not just the slaves that the military take to the moon, to Mars. Oh, titter ye not. Because once you get over the fact that you've been programmed to mock, to turn away, to only look at this, to only look at that, you are going to be on the fastest skateboard through the Stargate of truth. And it's all right. It took me years to. I wanted to ignore all of this. I did. But it's my life. It's my mission. So I am sending you love. We're all on a journey. We are all in some kind of healing. All of us. None of us are exempt from that. We're humans. I think when all the healing is done, that's when we leave. We go home. We go home. The GISIC conference that I created, the Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection. I feel like a walking poster. It was so funny today. The time in England went back. It's like autumn, fall. We call it autumn. You call it fall in America, Canada. So it's autumn, the beginning of autumn. So the time goes back an hour. You call it fallback. But in America, it hasn't done that yet. I don't know why. So instead of being 4 o'clock, it was 3 o'clock my time. And I had 2 seconds to I didn't have time to do my hair or whatever. So I thought, I'll just put this hat on. And I was already wearing this and running with my puppy in the garden. So I feel like a walking advert. But good. Galactic Spiritual Informers. Anyway, that's why. And we're bringing so much more information here on my channel. But honestly, I think the biggest thing is don't go into fear, trauma, drama. Take it in pieces what you had today. Tony and I are going to bring more. He's now at a point where he's able to talk about the satanic side of what he went through. And I've said 100 times at this stage, we've got to recognize there are 3 main elements. There's the galactics, the negative ones. There's the satanics that run the world. They're coming down. That's why we're seeing them now. And there's the dark military. Disclosure is happening right now. And you're part of it. Naturally, as a soul, part of this. There's no one left behind. There can't be. Even those that fight and don't want it and want it to go another way and want to be the one that brings a spacecraft, it's so irrelevant. Focus on the mission. Number 1 mission you have as an individual divine spark of source is to focus on you and your self-healing. The greatest weapon you have against everything and everyone is to not be afraid. That's it. That's it, friend. All right. I'm Danny Henderson, galacticspiritualinformers.com. The recordings of the presenters are available. Go to Vimeo, Galactic Spiritual Informers, and you'll get the recordings for 2024. You can buy the whole lot. You can buy individual. I will say that on my presentation, I bring Jean-Charles Moyen up on stage with extra information about his time in the secret space programs. I bring Tony Rodrigues up on stage on his time on Mars, the moon, and Ceres, because NASA's never going to tell you, obviously. I bring Elena Danan up on stage to talk about the Greys and the timeline, the time loop, and that they've gone. And I bring up the great Andromedan Alex Collier, who talks about Andromeda and her spacecraft that are spherical, how they are built, how they are conscious. All the speakers are incredible. But if you only had the money to pick one, I would pick that one because you get Elena, Alex, Tony Rodrigues, Jean-Charles Moyen, and me on some of the demonics, the angelics, and the aliens and the signature frequencies. But enjoy them all. Enjoy them all. Oh, God, what a journey we're on. Honestly, it's so bumpy. But again, do not be fearful. Recognize when you feel anger and rage, that's your opportunity to heal. We're all healing. We're all screwing up. I screw up a lot. I suffer from foot in mouth disorder. And I'm okay with it because I do own it. I do. We're all growing. We're all learning. We're not all right about everything. But when you've had an actual experience and it's real, not in your mind, not in La Laville, not being rude. I'm not being rude. And stop taking offense to my words. Read through the lines, guys. Read through the lines. Okay, gonna go. Mwah. Love you all. See you soon.